because in the green room, as we talk right now, the man about town, the man that knows all there is to know about village property, the man that knows about any retirement property at any retirement community in the world is Ira Miller.
I don't know about in the world.
Oh, maybe just our world.
Yeah.
So Ira, Patty J is asking, what is the average price per square foot in the villages? Is that a good question? Is that a fair question? Is that something you can answer?
I'd say $200 a square foot is about average.
And please explain how a buyer's broker works.
Well, buyer's broker, there's something called a buyer's broker agreement that on occasion, we as real estate agents will ask the buyer to sign so they work exclusively with us, because sometimes people will kind of bounce around, or they'll go to an open house, and if they go to an open house, they see an open house, then that person, that real estate agent hosting the open house will say, oh, I'll write it up for you, and then all the time that we've spent invested with that buyer is gone, because that agent, which is usually the listing agent, is getting all the commission on the sale of that home. So there is something called a buyer's broker agreement that some of us get signed, but
when I first started watching Skip, and I thought it was great advice, he said, think about it, what it is that you want to do, what it is that's important to you, and then think about where you want to locate accordingly. And I thought that was a great suggestion. If you want to be closer to the squares, if you want to be closer to a rec center, if you want to be closer to a regional rec center, if shopping is important to you by car or by golf cart.
A lot of times it just comes down to what is on the market at the time, and the home that you fall in love with is where you live.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it works.
There's one that says, are taxes cheaper in the different counties? How are the taxes different?
It's not real complicated, but so as far as taxes go, there's Lady Lake area of the villages, there's the Fruitland Park area of the villages, there's the Wildwood area of the villages, and so Wildwood is in Sumter County. If you live in that area where I don't know why they did it, the villages annexed Wildwood into a lot of the new area of the villages, and now you have to pay Wildwood taxes on top of your Sumter County taxes.
Wow.
And they did the same thing over there in Fruitland Park off of 466A in Pine Hills and Pine Ridge. They annexed Fruitland Park in there, so you have to pay Fruitland Park city taxes and Lake County taxes, and it's the same way in Lady Lake as well.
Patrick O'Toole says, seems like newer homes are more affordable than some of the more established neighborhoods. Are we saying that correct?
New homes or newer homes? Because,
newer. Yeah, it says newer.
Well, you have the bond to consider. And like now in the Finney area, they could go as high as like $32,000 or something like that for a bond. And you know what? A lot of those homes don't have a lot of what the pre-owned homes have. Like a lot of people put plantation shutters. They go ahead and totally, do their landscaping. They'll enclose their lanai. They'll paint their driveway, or they'll put brick pavers in their driveway. So all that you have to take into consideration, whether it has a bond or not. A lot of them don't have bonds. So there's a lot of stuff to take into consideration.
From John Butler, says, Ira, I have owned my home in Pinellas. It says, if I sell and move to the villages, that's why I say it can't be here.
Oh, okay.
It says, how will it affect my property taxes under that Save Our Homes law?
They have the portability where you can port over if your taxes are lower, and that's Pinellas County, by the way. That's around Tampa. You can port over your current taxes that you're paying now to your home here if you buy a home here in the villages, and it appears that the taxes might be higher. But I think the taxes are probably, unless you've lived in Pinellas for a long, long time, and your taxes are really low, you're probably going to find your taxes are lower here than they are in Pinellas.
Angie Flynn, when is there a better time of the year to buy a home here than any other time of the year?
So this is a very seasonal real estate market. And by that, I mean, January, February, March. Well, really, November, December, January, February. Those 4 months are great for your seasonal homes. Your patio villas, your courtyard villas, maybe some of your cottages. Those lower priced homes are great for seasonal. That's a good seasonal market.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people are surprised when I tell them that the summertime is, it's a great time to sell your home in the summer, because all those people up north, all those retirees who have been to the villages in the winter, go home, put their home on the market, and then they come down here, they sell it to a family. And the reason summer is so good is families, they don't want to take their kids out of school, before they graduate or before the end of the school year. So most families wait until like the beginning of the summer when school lets out, buys another home, buys that retiree's home, and then that retiree comes down here and is buying your larger homes, your designer, veranda, premier homes. So that's the best time to sell your those type of homes.
Elizabeth Chamberlain says, I am visually impaired and might have to give up my driver's license at some point in time. How accessible is the villages for people who don't drive?
Well, like I do, there's a lot of recreation. And there's a lot of visually impaired people who will just resort to their golf cart, and they get around pretty well on their golf cart.
Yeah, I keep telling everybody, you can live here literally without a car. You don't need a car. Right. It's hard to describe how that works, but you're not going to drive to Georgia in your golf cart, But I can go to the hospital, I go to my doctors, I go to my dentist, I go grocery stores in my golf cart. That's what I do.
We talked about a good concept before when we were getting ready. One of the questions was, how has COVID-19 impacted the real estate market, and what is the market like now?
When COVID, first hit and they shut everything down for like March and April, all of my appointments just canceled. Everybody canceled for like 2 months. And then as soon as Florida hit phase 1, it was unbelievable. The floodgates opened, and this market is it is super hot. Average days on market for a home. I'll tell you right now, yesterday I put a contract in full asking price. It was the first day it was on the market, and the listing agent got a second offer that same day. Average days on the market is like a week around here. If it's priced right, if it's on the market, more than a week, then that's.
Somebody was also asking, you do a lot of videos. Do people actually purchase off of the videos?
I've had probably in the last 2 months. Don G, he's our chat. I don't know if you saw him, but hey, Don, he bought one, right from my video. I've probably sold 6 homes in the last 2 months. And the only way that they never stepped in the house, and I even give an offer. I say, well, you know what? We can probably make a contingent upon you coming down, but you have to make it like 3 to 5 days, because they're not going to accept our offer if you don't come down that quick. They're good with my videos and what they see and how I describe it. And, I've got credentials, with having I have a contractor's license. I have a home inspector license, and not only a real estate broker license. So a lot of them, and I'm honest. I'll put everything on there. Here's what I see. Here's what it needs, and most people are good with just the video.
Have most of those people been down before and they sort of know where they want, or are these people that just see something and for the first time say, yeah, I want to live in the villages and I like that particular house?
Yeah, most of them have been down already and kind of know. about the villages, and they're really diligent in looking on Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com, and they'll call me up, or else they'll call me, and I'll set them up on an auto email to where I find out what their criteria is, and then right from my MLS, I mean, they'll get it before even it hits Zillow or Trulia or Realtor.com. And they have to be quick. I mean, that's just the market. And so they'll call me, hey, I see this house, and I go that day, take a video. I'll put it private so nobody else can see it, because if somebody asks me about it, I'm not going to just put it out there. It's not fair if I put it out there for everybody. But if you ask me, I'll run out there, I'll do the video, I'll send you a private link. And then if you tell me if you want it or not, then I'll put it public, and then everybody else can see it.
What is the normal bond amount?
There is no normal bond amount. I mean, you go to Marion County and they're like $3,000. You go to around Lake Sumter Landing, they're about 16 to 17. And then you get down to, go over to Fruitland Park, they're about 24,000. And then you get down around Brownwood, they're about 19 or 20. So that's kind of how the progression goes.
You get down in Linda's neighborhood, they're about 40 or 50.
They can be, yeah.
Well, now if you're talking about premier homes, that's a whole different story there.
Hey, somebody's got to pay for them new roads.
That's the truth. That's 40 to 50,000, and they don't even build premier homes anymore.
Yeah. Explain how they come about getting the number of a dollar amount per house on a bond, and then explain what a bond is and explain what a bond does.
Okay. Good question. Bonds. So all the villages are made up of units. All right. So I don't know if you know that, but if you look at your legal description, it'll say unit number, whatever, let's say 70. So Winifred is unit number 70 and 71. And what they did was in unit 70, they went ahead and took out they took a loan, and in their loan, which the CDD, so the developer enacted the CDD, the Community Development District here in the villages, which allowed them to have the Community Development District go and put all the infrastructure into every one of these units. So the CDD is a state government under the Florida statutes. And it's not a city. Well, it's kind of like a city. It's kind of like a county government, but this is a state government. And so as a state government, they can borrow money at a very low interest rate. So what they do is they go out, they borrow money, and then they go and put the infrastructure in, which is the roads, the curbs, the street lights, the storm drains, and all the underground utilities. And then based on how many lots they get out of that one unit, they divide it all up equally. So it doesn't matter how big or how small, on the golf course, not on the golf course, doesn't matter. Everybody shares in that bond equally. And that's how and then they put that on your taxes for 30 years. So it's over a 30-year period that you pay off this bond.
There was a good question that was repeated a couple of times, Ira, and that is, how would you rate the quality of the construction and build of homes in the villages compared to other developers, say, in the surrounding areas?
I've been on Top of the World and checked out their construction.
What'd you think?
I liked it. I mean,
Yeah.
I really think they do a really good job. Yeah.
Do you own the dirt?
Well, they tell you do, although they have a lease agreement signed with you that it's really complicated over there on Top of the World. It really is. I'm saying, well, you don't own the property over there. Oh yeah, you do. Well, there's a 99-year lease that on Top of the World does with you, and so you technically own the property, but they have a lease with you to be able to maintain your property, and you pay them to maintain your property for you.
Wow.
Hey, when things start getting to the point that I don't understand, I'm just not going to play that game.
Yeah.
Ira says, what's the best way to find a rental?
I go to villagershomesforrent.com. That's the rent by owner. You can go, my office, ERA Grizzard, has a website called erarents.com. So those are two good places to go to find a rental in the Villages. You can call the Villages sales office too, and they have a property management office there as well.
Here's one. Somebody said that they were advised not to pay off the bond at once because then they couldn't recoup it at sale. What do you have to say?
Well, here's my answer, and then Ira can give us the correct answer. You can recoup it, but the problem is, let's say me and you both bought $300,000 houses side by side, totally identical, $30,000 bond on each one of them. You come in there and go, I just want to pay it off. I don't want to mess with this thing. You pay it off. 5 years later, I didn't pay mine off. 5 years later, I'm going to sell my house probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $30,000 less than you're going to sell your house, and to a new homeowner. Well, I'm probably going to sell mine first. Right. I know none of that makes any sense, but I'm probably
you got it.
Yeah,
you got it. Now you don't want to lose money.
No.
So you're going to want to get your money back for what you spent on the bond. But you're absolutely right.
Teresa has a question.
Okay,
what is the average closing cost on a $250,000 house?
Well, now you have to ask, is that for the buyer or the seller?
I don't know.
Because the buyer has about $600 in closing costs. The seller has the bulk because they have commission, real estate commission. They have doc stamps from the state of Florida, which is $7 per thousand. So a $250,000 home is like $1,750 that goes right to the state of Florida. The seller pays the title insurance. So I think you could probably 6 times 2, probably about $16,000 for a seller for a $250,000 home.
You know that Chinese restaurant that was reported in negotiations to go down at Brownwood.
P.F. Chang's?
P.F. Chang's, yeah. That's not going to happen. They pulled out.
Oh.
Apparently another company bought them. And I don't know if this all happened. I guess like all this happened at the same time. I don't know. But it was in a paper that some other company had bought them out and they backed out of the whole deal.
Oh,
if there was even a deal. I don't even know if there was even a deal or if that was just a rumor. You know how rumors are around here, Ira.
Well, you know how it works with the Villages. I mean, they get the Villages developer, anybody who has a place on property, it's something called triple net, where if they make so much money, then a lot of the profits go over to the Villages developer. So a lot of them don't even want to get messed up in something like that.
I wouldn't want to, but I mean, that's just me. What's the average time to sell a home in the Villages once you put it on the market?
Well, if you price it correctly, it's going to be about a week.
Wow.
What's the average time to sell a home around the Villages at some other retirement community, let's say Del Webb?
Del Webb's starting to do pretty good too. I would say it's probably 30 to 45 days at Spruce Creek.
Of all these different other retirement communities around here, if you had to buy one house in one of them, which one do you like the best?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. Ira wants customers for all of them.
But, look, let me tell you, I have to fit the person with the community.
Yeah.
And I just had some people out all day today. We went to Pembroke Fairways, we went to the Plantation, we went to Del Webb, Spruce Creek, we went to Stonecrest, and then tomorrow we're going to go to On Top of the World, we're going to go to Stone Creek, and then there's also Oak Run. So it just depends on what your pocketbook will allow you, how much overhead you want. Each one has a different HOA fee, how much you want to spend on a home. So like if you're under like 200,000, that's very challenging if you're in that price range. Like Oak Run is a good place for somebody up in Ocala on the 200 corridor. So I just have to fit the person to the home. If you're asking me, where would you want? I mean, it's like, the Villages is really the top place because it offers so much. But I get a lot of people that come in and say, whoa, the village is huge. It's so big, and they get scared and they don't even want to try to even figure out how to get around a community of this size anymore.
Okay, I do appreciate you coming by, and you
All
ever
right.
come back again, you let me know, and we'll bring you back, and we'll bug you some more.
That sounds good, Skip. Let's do lunch sometime, buddy.
Okay, dude, just give me an email. We'll catch up.
Okay. All right. Thanks.